1889 Braunau. I'm in a small town on the border between Austria and Bavaria, on the southern bank of the Inn River. On the 20th of April, a child is born to Alois Hitler and his wife Clara. They name him Adolf. The family is lower middle class. Alois Hitler is a customs official, a man who has worked his way up through the Austrian bureaucracy and takes considerable pride in that achievement. He is strict, controlling, and not particularly warm. Clara is the opposite. She is devoted to her children, especially Adolf, who is the fourth child, but the first to survive infancy after 3 siblings die young. The family moves several times during Adolf's childhood as Alois is posted to different locations. Braunau, Passau, Linz. Adolf attends several different schools. He is not a consistent student. In subjects that interest him, he does well in. Those that do not, he puts in little effort and performs poorly. His teachers describe him as talented but unwilling to work within the discipline the school requires. He develops early passions that will stay with him for life: architecture, art, German history, and mythology. He spends hours drawing buildings, sketching grand structures, imagining cities. He reads about Germanic legends and absorbs a romantic and idealized vision of German history that has little to do with historical reality. His father dies in 1903 when Adolf is 13. The relationship had been difficult and distant. His mother continues to indulge him. He leaves school without graduating, convincing himself and his mother that he will become a great artist. In 1907, he travels to Vienna and applies to the Academy of Fine Arts. He is rejected. His figure drawing is assessed as insufficient. He applies again the following year and is rejected again. He does not tell his mother, who is seriously ill with cancer. She dies in December 1907. He is 18 years old. Those who know him describe his grief as genuine and deep. He is now alone in Vienna, without qualifications, without a plan, without the artistic career he had imagined for himself. He will spend the next several years drifting in the city, sleeping in cheap lodgings, and selling small watercolor paintings to survive. Rest now. Vienna, in the early 20th century, is a city of enormous culture and deep tension. The young man drifting through it has no idea yet what he will become. Good night. Good night. Vienna, 1908 to 1913. Hitler lives in the city. For 5 years, he is not entirely destitute. His mother left him a small inheritance, and he receives an orphan's pension. But he lives cheaply, moves between lodging houses, and avoids any steady employment. He spends his days in museums, in the opera, in the public library. He reads voraciously but unsystematically political pamphlets, Germanic mythology, books on history and architecture. He forms strong opinions rapidly and is not interested in having them challenged. He talks at length to anyone who will listen and resents disagreement. Vienna in this period is a city of intense political and ethnic tension. The Austro-Hungarian Empire is a patchwork of different nationalities and languages held together by an aging imperial structure. German-speaking Austrians debate their identity and their relationship to Germany. Pan-German nationalism is a powerful current. Anti-Semitic political movements are openly active and successful in Viennese politics. Hitler absorbs all of this: the pan-German nationalism, the resentment of the multi-ethnic empire, the anti-Semitic rhetoric that was a visible part of Viennese political life. How much of his later ideology was formed in Vienna, and how much developed later is debated by historians. What is clear is that the environment shaped him in ways that would prove catastrophic. In 1913, he moves to Munich in Germany. He has always felt more German than Austrian in Munich. Feels more like home. When war breaks out in 1914, he volunteers immediately for the German army, not the Austrian one. His application is accepted. He is assigned to a Bavarian regiment. He serves for the entire war, 4 years on the Western Front. He's a dispatch runner, carrying messages between headquarters and the front line. It is dangerous work. He is wounded twice. He's awarded the Iron Cross First Class, a significant decoration, on the recommendation of a Jewish officer, a fact that would later be erased from the official accounts of his life. His comrades describe him as alone. He does not complain about conditions the way other soldiers do. He does not talk about going home. The army gives him structure, purpose, and a sense of belonging that civilian life never had. When Germany surrenders in November 1918, he is in a military hospital, temporarily blinded by a gas attack. He receives the news of the armistice in his hospital bed. By his own account, he reaps it. It is one of the few times in his adult life that he is recorded as doing so. Rest now. The war is over. Germany is defeated. A bitter and directionless young man is lying in a hospital bed, trying to understand what has happened. Good night. Good night. 1919 Munich, Germany is in chaos. The Kaiser has abdicated. A new republic has been declared. Revolutionary uprisings break out in several cities in Munich, a short-lived Soviet style. Republic is established and then violently suppressed. The streets are unstable. The politics are raw and angry. Hitler remains in the army after the war ends. The army assigns him to a unit monitoring political groups in Munich, a city teeming with new parties and movements of every description. In September 1919, he is sent to observe a small group called the German Workers' Party. It has fewer than 60 members and meets in the back rooms of Munich beer halls. He goes to observe. He ends up speaking. And when he speaks, the room changes. He has discovered something in himself that he did not fully know. Was there an ability to hold a crowd, to build emotion, to direct anger toward a target? He joins the party. Within months, he is its most effective speaker. The party is renamed the National Socialist German Workers' Party. The Nazis. Hitler becomes its leader in 1921. He is 32 years old. The party has a few thousand members. It has a newspaper. It has a paramilitary wing, the Sturmabteilung, the SA, the brown shirts used to protect meetings and intimidate opponents. His speeches draw larger and larger crowds. He speaks to the resentments that are everywhere. In post-war Germany, the humiliation of the Versailles Treaty, the stab-in-the-back myth, the false but widely believed idea that Germany had not been defeated on the battlefield but betrayed from within. The economic hardship, the political instability. He identifies enemies, both external and internal, and promises national renewal. November 1923, inspired partly by Mussolini's march on Rome. The previous year, Hitler attempts to seize power directly. The beer hall putsch. He and his followers marched through Munich intending to trigger a broader uprising. The police opened fire. 16 Nazis and 4 police officers are killed. Hitler is arrested. He is tried for treason. The trial gives him a national platform. He speaks for hours in his own defense, turning the courtroom into a political stage. He is sentenced to 5 years in prison. He serves less than 9 months. In prison, he dictates Mein Kampf to his deputy, Rudolf Hess. My Struggle, the book outlines his ideology in full, his racial theories, his hatred of Jewish people, his vision of German expansion eastward, his contempt for democracy. It is all there in print, available to anyone who wishes to read it. Rest Now 1923 has been a year of failure for Hitler, but failure has not broken him. He is already planning what comes next. Good night. Good night. 1924, Hitler leaves Landsberg prison after 9 months. The failed putsch has taught him something important. Seizing power by force will not work. The state is too strong, and the moment was wrong. The path to power runs through elections, through legal political means, through building a mass movement that cannot be ignored. He rebuilds the Nazi Party systematically. He tightens his control over it, removes rivals, and establishes himself as the undisputed leader, whose authority cannot be questioned. The party develops a national organization, branches across Germany, a growing membership, and an increasingly professional propaganda operation. Through the mid-1920s, the Nazis remain a fringe movement. Germany is stabilizing. The economy is recovering with American loans. The extreme anger of the immediate post-war years is cooling. In relatively stable times, people have less reason to turn to radical movements. In the elections of 1928, the Nazis receive less than 3% of the vote. Then in 1929, the American stock market collapses. The Great Depression hits Germany with particular force. Unemployment rises from under 1 million to over 6 million within 3 years. Banks fail, businesses close, families lose their savings. The political center begins to crack under the pressure. In this environment, the Nazi message finds the mass audience it has been waiting for. In the elections of 1930, the Nazis receive 18% of the vote, becoming the second largest party in the German parliament. In 1932, they become the largest party with 37%. No other party comes close. Hitler runs for president in 1932 against the incumbent Paul von Hindenburg. He loses but receives 36% of the vote. His name is now known across Germany. Conservative politicians who despise him believe they can use him, that they can bring him into government in a controlled way and manage him. They are badly wrong about this. On the 30th of January 1933, President Hindenburg appoints Hitler as Chancellor of Germany. The conservatives around Hindenburg assure each other that he will be controllable, that the responsibilities of office will moderate him, that they will be able to limit his power. Within weeks, it becomes clear how wrong they are. Rest Now, January 1933, is a moment that will echo through the rest of the century and beyond. A legal appointment, a democratic process, an outcome that will prove catastrophic. Good night. Good night. February the 27th, 1933, the Reichstag. The German parliament building in Berlin catches fire. A young Dutch communist is found at the scene and arrested. Hitler moves immediately. He convinces President Hindenburg to sign an emergency decree suspending civil liberties, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, the right to assembly, protection from arbitrary arrest, all suspended within days. Thousands of political opponents are arrested. Whether the Reichstag fire was set by the man arrested, by the Nazis themselves, or by some combination remains debated by historians. What is not debated is how Hitler used it. The crisis, real or manufactured, provided the legal framework for dismantling German democracy at extraordinary speed. In March 1933, the Enabling Act is passed. It gives Hitler's cabinet the power to pass laws. Without the parliament, the Social Democrats vote against it. Every other party, under varying degrees of pressure and intimidation, votes for it. Germany is now legally a dictatorship. The process has taken less than 2 months. What follows is rapid and systematic. Trade unions are dissolved, their offices are seized, their leaders arrested. All political parties, other than the Nazis, are banned or dissolve themselves under pressure. The federal structure of Germany is centralized under Nazi control. The civil service is purged of Jews and political opponents. The press is brought under state control. The legal system is reshaped to serve the regime. In June 1934, Hitler moves against potential rivals within his own movement. The Night of the Long Knives, the leadership of the SA, the Brown Shirt paramilitary organization, is arrested and shot without trial. So are several conservative politicians who had criticized Hitler. Estimates of those killed range from 85 to several hundred. The message is clear: opposition of any kind from any direction will be met with lethal force. In August 1934, President Hindenburg dies. Hitler merges the offices of President and Chancellor into a single position. He is now Führer, leader of Germany. The army swears a personal oath of loyalty, not to Germany or the Constitution, but to Hitler himself by name. This oath will weigh heavily on many officers in the years ahead, when they consider whether to act against him. Germany in 1934 is a one-party state with a leader whose authority is absolute. The transformation from democracy to dictatorship is complete. Rest now. Germany has changed almost beyond recognition. In 18 months, what comes next will change the world. Good night. Good night. (1934 to 1939), 5 years in which Nazi Germany transforms itself from a struggling post-war state into the most powerful military force in Europe, and 5 years in which the systematic persecution of Jewish Germans and other groups intensifies with each passing year. The economic recovery is real and is the foundation of Hitler's domestic popularity. Unemployment falls dramatically. Infrastructure projects employ hundreds of thousands. The Autobahn network expands. Factories produce at full capacity, largely for rearmament. Germans who had lived through the humiliation of defeat and the chaos of the Weimar years feel a new confidence and a new pride. Many do not look closely at what is happening to their neighbors. The persecution of Jewish Germans begins. Immediately after Hitler takes power and escalates steadily, laws remove Jews from the civil service, from professions, from universities. The Nuremberg laws of 1935 stripped Jewish people of their citizenship entirely. They are no longer Germans under the law. Mixed marriages are prohibited. Jewish businesses are boycotted. And then sees the violence of Kristallnacht in 1938 makes the direction of the regime unmistakably clear to anyone still uncertain. Hitler's foreign policy is a series of calculated risks that succeed one after another, each success encouraging the next. The Rhineland is remilitarized in 1936. Nobody stops it. Austria is annexed in 1936. Nobody stops it. The Sudetenland is taken. Britain and France hand it over at Munich. The rest of Czechoslovakia follows in early 1939. Still, nobody stops it. Each success reinforces Hitler's belief in his own judgment and his contempt for the leaders of other nations. He believes he sees more clearly than they do, that he is willing to act where they are not, that his will is stronger. These beliefs are not entirely wrong about the 1930s. They will prove catastrophically wrong about what follows. His daily life in this period is unconventional. For a head of state, he sleeps late. Often until noon, he works erratically, in bursts of intense activity followed by days of relative inaction. He holds long monologues at dinner, repeating themes his close circle has heard many times before. He is increasingly isolated from ordinary German life, surrounded by people who tell him what he wishes to hear. By the summer of 1939, he is focused entirely on Poland, on the expansion he has always written about, on the living space in the East that is the core of his ideology. The diplomatic maneuvering of August 1939 ends with the invasion order. Rest now. The last summer of European peace is ending. September is 1 week away. Good night. September 1939. The invasion of Poland begins. Within weeks, Poland is divided between Germany and the Soviet Union. Hitler turns his attention west. In the spring of 1940, Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands and France fall in rapid succession. By June 1940, Germany controls most of Western Europe. It is the most dramatic military campaign in modern European history. Hitler's popularity inside Germany reaches its peak in these months. The humiliation of 1918 appears to have been reversed. France, which had defeated Germany in the last war, has been conquered in 6 weeks. Hitler personally chooses the location for the French surrender. The same railway carriage in the Compiègne forest where Germany signed the armistice in 1918. The symbolism is deliberate and total. But Britain does not surrender. Churchill refuses to negotiate. The Battle of Britain fails to break the RAF. The invasion of Britain is postponed and then quietly abandoned. For the first time, Hitler faces an objective he cannot achieve. In June 1941, he launches Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. It is the decision that most historians identify as the moment the war becomes unwinnable for Germany. The Soviet Union is too large, its population too vast, its capacity to absorb losses, and continue fighting beyond anything Germany can match in the long term. Hitler's management of the war increasingly undermines his own commanders. He insists on controlling operational details that should be left to generals. He refuses to allow tactical retreats that might preserve fighting strength. He sacks commanders who disagree with him and replaces them with those who tell him what he wants to hear. The gap between his orders and military reality grows steadily wider. December 1941, Japan attacks Pearl Harbor, Germany, declares war on the United States. 4 days later, Hitler makes this decision almost impulsively, with no serious analysis of what American industrial capacity will mean for the war. It is a decision with no strategic logic that serves German interests. By the end of 1942, the turning points have arrived: Stalingrad in the east, El Alamein in North Africa. The war is not yet lost, but the strategic initiative is passing to the Allies and will not return to Germany. Hitler retreats increasingly into his military headquarters, the Wolf's Lair in East Prussia, underground bunkers. He rarely visits German cities. He does not want to see the bombing damage. He does not want to face what is actually happening. Rest now, 1942 is ending. The war has turned. The years ahead will bring only destruction. Good night. (1943). The war is turning against Germany on every front. Stalingrad has fallen. North Africa. His lost Allied forces have landed in Sicily and are moving up through Italy in the east. The Soviet army is advancing steadily westward. After the largest tank battle in history at Kursk in the summer of 1943. Hitler's physical and mental condition is deteriorating those who see him regularly. Notice the change. He walks with a slight stoop, his left hand trembles, he sleeps badly, and takes an increasing number of medications prescribed by his personal physician, a man named Theodore Morel, whose treatments are unconventional, and whose prescriptions include amphetamines and various other substances that almost certainly worsen Hitler's condition over time. In July 1944, a group of German army officers attempt to assassinate him. A bomb is placed in a briefcase under the table at a military conference at the Wolf's Lair. The explosion kills 4 people. Hitler survives with relatively minor injuries. A table leg deflects the blast at the critical moment. The reprisals are swift and enormous. Nearly 5,000 people are executed in connection with the plot, including many who had little or no direct involvement. The event intensifies Hitler's distrust of the German officer class and his conviction that he is protected by destiny, that he has survived because he has a mission yet to complete. Through the autumn and winter of 1944, the Allied advance continues from west and east. Germany launches one final offensive in the west, the Battle of the Bulge, in December 1944. It achieves initial surprise but runs out of fuel and momentum within weeks. By January 1945, the Allied advance has resumed. Hitler moves into the Führer bunker beneath the Reich Chancellery in Berlin in January 1945. He will not leave it alive. In the bunker, he continues to issue orders to armies that barely exist.
moving divisions on maps that no longer reflect reality. Those around him watch a man who is disconnected almost entirely from the facts of the situation. He turns 56 years old on the 20th of April 1945. Soviet forces are already fighting in the suburbs of Berlin. A small number of loyal followers gather in the bunker to congratulate him. It is a strange and hollow ceremony in an underground room while a city burns above them. He refuses to leave Berlin. He has said for years that he will not allow himself to be captured. He will not be put on trial. He will not be displayed as a trophy by his enemies. Rest now, Berlin is burning. The bunker is quiet for a few hours. The end is very close. Good night.
April the 29th, 1945, the Führer bunker. Beneath Berlin, Soviet forces are fighting. Street by street through the city above the sound of artillery is constant, the bunker shakes periodically with nearby impacts. Hitler marries Eva Braun in a small civil ceremony in the bunker map room. She has been his companion for over 12 years, kept largely out of public view. Most Germans do not know she exists. She has chosen to come to Berlin and stay with him when she could have left those present at the ceremony. Describe it as brief and strange, a wedding in an underground room while a city dies above it. Hitler dictates his final political testament. It runs to several pages. He blames the war on international Jewry. He blames Germany's defeat on the failures of others. He expresses no remorse. He appoints successors to lead Germany after his death. He signs it and goes to bed. The following afternoon, April the 30th, 1945, Hitler and Eva Braun go to his private study. Eva Braun takes cyanide. Hitler shoots himself. The time is approximately 3:30 in the afternoon. Their bodies are carried to the garden above the bunker, doused with petrol and burned, as Hitler had instructed. Soviet forces find the remains days later. 8 days after Hitler's death, Germany signs an unconditional surrender. The war in Europe is over. The Third Reich, which Hitler had promised would last 1,000 years, has lasted 12. The legacy is among the darkest in human history. 6 million Jewish people murdered in the Holocaust, tens of millions dead across Europe and beyond in a war of his making. Cities destroyed, families shattered, a continent that will take decades to rebuild. The physical and moral destruction is total in ways that are still being reckoned with. The questions his life raises do not have comfortable answers. How does a failed artist from a small Austrian border town come to control the most powerful military machine in Europe and direct the murder of millions? The answers involve economics, political structures, propaganda, the weakness of democratic institutions under pressure, the willingness of ordinary people to follow and to look away. Historians have written thousands of books attempting to understand how this happened. The consensus is that no single explanation is sufficient. It required a specific historical moment, specific institutional failures, a specific individual with specific abilities used for catastrophic ends, and the decisions of millions of ordinary people at every level of society. He is documented more thoroughly than almost any other figure in history. His speeches, his writings, the records of his regime, the
testimony of survivors, the records of his crimes. The evidence is vast, the conclusion is not in doubt. What remains is the question of how it was possible and what it means for how we think about politics, about power, and about the capacity for organized evil. Adolf Hitler, 1889 to 1945. He was here. He destroyed things that cannot be rebuilt and ended lives that cannot be returned. The world he left behind spent decades trying to ensure that nothing like it would happen again. Whether it has succeeded is a question each generation must answer for itself. Sleep now. The story is complete. Good night. Good night.